Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. And today's video, we are building a bar. See how we take this from our design to the finished product. Today we're gonna tackle the doors. What I first do when I have doors, I get the final dimension of the door and I input it into my Excel spreadsheet. I put in the formulas to automatically calculate the size for the rails that I'm going with. Just a simple piece, but this helps me expedite my pieces a lot, and as long as your front dimensions are correct, the rest of the dimensions will be fine. And this is the stock we'll be using. We have oak milled to 3/4 of an inch. This is my own little coping sled that I made a while ago, and it's served the purpose for now. The one thing I do want to comment on is when I run the vertical pieces through the router, I like to do them in 2 passes. Well, actually this would be for both. When I like to do the second bit, or the groove bit I should say, when I like to run that bit, I like to make a shallow 16th to 1/8 of an inch pass on the pieces. This way it scores it nicely. If you take the full depth at one pass, it will create a lot of chip out. So that I like to do in 2 passes. And we are staining this project, even though we are going with a black stain or near black stain. We're still going to keep the 5-piece door, the center panel. We're going to go with the same species. This is 1/4 inch oak plywood. For the drawer box, we are going to use 1/2 inch Baltic birch. I get these in 5x5 sheets. What I like to do is once I got my parts cut, I will set up the dado stack at the table saw, cutting about 1/4 inch high and 1/4 inch from the fence. And then I'll run all my sides and backs through that. That'll be where the center panel will be housed. Then I'll take all my pieces and sand them with either 180 or 220 grit with the orbital sander. Give them a round over at the top edge just to soften the edges. And then for assembly, glue and 18 gauge brad nails. after the drawer box is installed, we're going to take the door and finish that up, get that sanded on the drum sander. Whenever I can, I use the drum sander if the doors aren't too wide. It just, especially for a shaker style door, just expedites the process of sanding so much. It takes down the unevenness between rail and style if there is any. And then for this drawer back, since I am using 1/4 inch material for the insert panel, I do have to fill in the back void, where I just put in some 1/4 inch MDF to fill that void so that the drawer box has something to mount against. And finishing off the door with a 1/8 inch roundover, and then drilling the holes for the pulls.
Yep.
Now here is one method to installing inset door fronts. You can use playing cards, just count your cards, get the even right, get them spaced right, see how much you can fit on one side, divide it by 2, split them on both sides. Recently what I've started doing actually is using hot glue, getting these spacers in place and then using hot glue on the inside of the door, pushing it against till it sets and then pulling it out to put some clamps on it. What I did, I had the holes for the poles already pre-drilled, so I could just drive screws through that to hold it in place. That's not always possible, and yeah, that's just another option if you got a glue gun handy.
So it's been a few days since I've been in the shop, but had some good time to work on it today, and I'm going to continue working on it. I'm just going to give a little update on what's going on, where I'm at. And yeah, I've been kind of lost in sanding the past few days, so these cabinets are all ready to go sanded. Insides, outsides, they're all done. Panels are done, sanded. Those two pieces I've decided I will finish separately, so I'll finish them on a stand, and then finish these separately, stain it all, and then get them mounted. So that's all done, ready for finish. I've started working on the top. I'm not too familiar with bar molding, and everything online that I see shows this notch and this notch being symmetrical. This is 45 degrees off of this. Actually, not even 45, it's 33 degrees. Shows it a little bit better. So my finished piece will be coming off of here. Will be sitting like this, off the edge. My finished piece will come here, and then my plywood will come underneath, and I'll cut. This is a 33-degree angle, so I'll be cutting that on the table saw, and then that way I can drive my screws in this way, and I can also drive them into the hardwood. That's what I'm tackling right now. I got the base just about done. So this is where I'm going to be cutting the 33-degree bevel. Cut that all the way around. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So we'll jump to the table saw and cut that 33-degree bevel on there.
The top is going to be made out of red oak, just like the base. Here we are cutting it to its final width, and our choice of joinery will be biscuits as well.
Nice.
So we've got the base installed and set on top of here just so I can get the final measurements. We got these pieces all sanded. Decided to go with grain all in the same direction. Grain movements, we'll have expansion and contraction this way along the whole board. And so we'll screw it in solid with some glue on the center board underneath to the sub board. And then otherwise we'll just run screws with some slotted holes on the far and on these corners.
At this point, the boards are all still oversized, even on the ends. The center opening is just as large as the sub panel. And here I am marking it in place, and then we're going to cut it to its final length. To cut the bar molding, I set up a little jig at the miter saw. It is nested exactly how it will be sitting on the bar top itself. So that will be my reference area. For the mitered corners on the bar top, I decided to use wood glue and a little bit of CA glue with activator to hold it in place to give it an instant bond. I let that set overnight, and then the next day I came back and I drilled 2 pocket holes in each corner just to give it that extra holding power.
So I'm ready to mount the crown molding. Ready to mount this bar molding to the top. So what I have done, it's a bit of an awkward space, but basically we don't want to hit the hardwood because that needs room to expand and contract. So we're driving the screw in on an angle through the plywood and into this portion here. That'll pull this down, sandwich the two, but allow the hardwood top to be free. So I measured back 1.25 inches, and then I'm driving in on an angle. fasten the tops, we're going to use Z-clips. And reading the specs, you want to be 1/2 inch from the top. On these specific ones, your slot needs to be 1/2 inch from the top, and 5/16 deep. We're going 3/8 deep, and 1/2 inch from the top. We're going to run 3 along this long perimeter and 2 along the short. And we're just going to use a biscuit joiner to do that.
The last thing we need to build before we can go to finish is the wine rack holder. It'll be on the left side in a cubby. I started making an MDF template with holes that are about 3 inches. So I drilled with a hole saw 3 3-inch holes and then cut that in half, sanding it up at the oscillating sander, attaching that template with CA glue, using some tape so it's not adhering to the material itself, and removing the bulk of the waste at the bandsaw. Then I could take that to the router table and template route that back to the oscillating belt sander just to clean up the burn marks, and then hit it with an 8-inch round over. These I installed with pocket screws from the backside, and that we will do after finish.
So it's been a minute since I've turned the camera on and showed my progress, but I've been grinding this project out. This is a commission piece and I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible. I am a little bit behind on it, so trying my best to, you know, not bother myself with the camera and just get the project done. So the staining process I just finished. It was more tedious, but more tedious than I had thought. Now looking back, I think for the cabinets, I could have stained them prior to assembly. And I think that would have sped up the process there and saved me a lot of headaches getting into the cabinets and into the corners and stuff while staining with a rag. Was proven to be quite tough, but I got it done and very happy with how it looks. So like the customer wanted. Top is done, did that first, ready for poly. These are all ready for poly. The only thing, I will connect now the face frames to the cabinets. So that's what we will do. We will get those mounted and then that'll be ready for poly, get everything cleaned up, and then we can start spraying some poly. So let's get to it. Show you a quick spot. So I mean, you can see how I didn't finish everything. But once we put the face frame around it, I mean, it looks beautiful. That grain really pops. Even through the darkness, I'm loving that the grain is showing. Just adds so much to the character of it. Very nice. Some poly on it just to bring it even more to life. We're in business.
For finish on top of the stain, we use some General Finishes product. I believe it was High Performance Top Coat. Doing about 3 coats and sanding in between with 220. And that'll wrap it up for this project, guys. This video is a bit longer than usual, but if you enjoyed it, let me know. Hope you're able to take away something from this project. Have a good one, and God bless. Until the next one. See ya.